Hello brothers and sisters, welcome to another episode here on Dangerous African Confessions HD. In this episode, we bring to you a confession of a man who is full of regret, and is really going through a lot inside. This man is no mean a person than a pastor who had once in his life respected by so many. Little did they know that, behind the very essence of miracle that he performs is the devil. I do not want to give away any details of what we are going to listen to, so without much taking of your time, let us go and listen to this confession by our brother. But then, don't forget to subscribe if this is your first time, like and share this video so others can listen to it as well. And also hit the notification bell, so you will be notified anytime we upload videos of this nature.
As I sit here, the weight of my choices pressing heavily on my heart, I feel compelled to share the truth that has haunted me for far too long. I am Pastor Samuel, a man who once stood firmly in faith, guiding my congregation with unwavering conviction. But beneath the surface of my ministry lies a dark secret, a descent into the abyss fueled by ambition and a desire for power. It began innocently enough, with a conversation that sparked curiosity and ignited a hunger within me. You see, our church once thrived on the principles of love, compassion, and community. The small wooden building had been a sanctuary for many, a place where hope flourished and faith blossomed. At this time of the ministry, everything was going on well. Even though I wouldn't say that we were getting enough money to do the things that we had set out to. But we were always happy and believed the good Lord will bring in support and help to push the ministry high. But as the years passed, the tides began to turn. Attendance dwindled, and the vibrancy that had once filled our services faded into echoes of what was. Things that we had hoped and prayed for, gradually I saw them to be something that we cannot achieve with the way things were going. The reasons were manifold: economic hardships in our town. You see, the town where the church was situated had a lot of people who were really undergoing so much hardship and problems, to name a few. And so, a lot of the families in the town were moving away in search of better opportunities. Again, there seemed to be the rise of larger and more charismatic churches that drew people away from our humble congregation. This was as a result of people always getting results and answers to the prayers and the reasons why they would go to those churches. And it seemed as though God had abandoned us. And He was not showing interest in anything that we were doing. Every Sunday, when I returned home from church, I would come and cry my heart out. This is because each and every Sunday, I will stand before a dwindling crowd. When it happens like that, my heart will always be heavy with the knowledge that our numbers were shrinking. I could feel the weight of their expectations pressing down on me like a leaden cloak. I tried to inspire them with messages of hope and perseverance, but deep down, I felt like a fraud. Here was a man preaching about faith while my own faith was faltering. And I didn't think twice about it. But because of desperation, I would go and stand before the congregation and then talk about faith. And why there is the need for us to wait upon His own time. The financial strain was palpable. We struggled to pay our bills, let alone maintain the old building that had seen better days. The roof leaked during storms, and the pews creaked under the weight of time. I found myself making desperate calls to local businesses for donations, pleading for support to keep our doors open. But the more I sent in my plea, the more I would face with rejection. Each rejection chipped away at my spirit, leaving me feeling isolated and defeated. I remember, it even got to a time where I questioned God for bringing me to this point in the ministry and disgracing me like that. I couldn't believe what was happening to me, the church, and even to extent the general congregation. What really broke me and even the entire leaders that I had at the time was the fact that we were faced with an even greater threat, the looming possibility of losing our land. The church property was a modest piece of land, but it held tremendous significance for our community and the entire congregation. Even though I had started the church, and I wasn't too old. The church has seen so many memorable activities there. It was where marriages were celebrated, where children were baptized, and where we gathered in times of sorrow and joy. Yet, as debts mounted and attendance dwindled, I couldn't pay for the rent of the land that we had the church on. Even my house rent issues, I couldn't afford to settle that one, and not to talk of the church land. The landowner came to me one evening and told me that, if I failed to pay him at the end of the year all the money we owe him, he would be forced to sell the land to someone who was interested in the land. I didn't blame him, because our lease had expired and he had given us enough chance to settle the payment, but because we didn't have enough, we had not been able to sort him. So, what he told me meant that we had just a little over 4 months to get him his money or stand the chance of losing the land and the church as well. The thought of losing our church, our home, was unbearable. I felt like I was standing on the edge of a precipice, watching everything I had worked for slip through my fingers. You see, I will not say this as an attempt to downplay my wife in any way possible, no. In the midst of this turmoil, my personal life began to unravel as well. My wife, Martha, grew increasingly disillusioned with our circumstances. She had once been my rock, but as our financial struggles intensified, so did her frustration and despair. Our conversations turned into arguments. She felt abandoned by a husband who was consumed by his failures. I could actually see the fears in her eyes each day when we sit to talk. And it always breaks my heart. I could sense her disappointment in my inability to provide stability for our family. The love we once shared began to fray at the edges, and I feared losing her as much as I feared losing the church. The whole thing is that sometimes things do happen so that you can be tested. It was during this dark season of my life that Ezekiel entered the picture. He used to be someone who I knew from when we started ministry. But for some reasons, we lost contact when he had moved to the city to pursue his own calling. Ezekiel appeared like a mirage in the desert of my desperation. He approached me one evening after one particularly disheartening service when only a handful of congregants had shown up. He approached me and we went to sit for a discussion. At least to get in touch and find out how his ministry have been doing all these years that he has been there. During our conversation, his eyes glinted with an unsettling intensity, as he spoke of miracles that he has been performing and how people are flowing into his church like rivers. He talked real miracles beyond the mundane healing I had performed through prayer and faith. Ezekiel now showed me certain video on his tablet and his links to the church social media pages where he was performing great miracles. It was at this point that I got to know that indeed some of our old members were even in his church. He spent about a week in the town because he had come to visit his mother. And we took the opportunity of the days he spent there to talk more and more about his ministry and the secrets that he knows. And it was the last day that he told me about the fact that he has had access to ancient powers, forces that could amplify gifts as a minister of God. And if I so wish, he will help me out to maximize my gifts as a man of God. The allure was intoxicating. I envisioned my sermons drawing thousands, my influence spreading far beyond our town. He painted a picture of grandeur, suggesting that true faith required sacrifices. Sacrifices that would unlock the divine potential within me. This was what maybe would be able to push this ministry to the next level. This is what I was thinking when he had this chill discussion with me. I tell you, brother, I thought about it for days. It consumed me, and my wife even noticed that I was very far away from myself even in the house. At first, I hesitated and didn't want to get myself involved in anything that I had no idea of what it was. To me, I was a pastor, a shepherd entrusted with guiding my flock toward righteousness. But my brother, desperation clouded my judgment. I yearned for a way out of this pitiful existence. The thought of saving my church and restoring my family's dignity became paramount. Ezekiel's words echoed in my mind: imagine healing the sick, raising the dead, performing wonders. I could almost hear the cheers of a revived congregation celebrating not just my return but the resurrection of our church. So I gave him a call when I came to the conclusion of me going ahead and saving the church and my family as well. He gave me a direction to where he was in the city. I told my wife about the fact that I wanted to go and see if I can get some money from him so we can settle some of our debts. I got to my friend and he welcomed me with open arms. He immediately arranged for me to meet someone that he calls Master. This Master told me that we will be traveling to a place where we can start my journey of acquiring this power that I was seeking for. So we were to get to the place in the evening, as he said that is when the whole thing that was to be done would be started. So we got there together with my friend Ezekiel. And he introduced me to some of the people who had already gathered there. You will be shocked to see that some of the pastors that I really admired were there as well. Unknown to me, they were even leaders in these things. I was called among the new pastors who were going to be initiated. We were 9 in total that night that got initiated into these dark powers. And how it happens like that, you needed a high-profile pastor to hold your hands and lead you into it. You just can't get up one day and say you want to be part. And where will you even get to know that this person or that person is a member of this or that group? So that was the reason why Ezekiel had to lead me and introduce me to his own master, who then took him as his own son and took me there. The initiation processes started and we were made to wear all white robes. And then our Bibles were also taken along. This Ezekiel told me to bring my Bible that I used along when I was coming. So, that Bible was collected and we were handed over a new Bible. And this was the ones that we were supposed to minister from. We were again given a small booklet that contains some words. The ritual was a simple incantation under the pale light of dawn in the depths of the forest, surrounded by shadows and whispers. And each 9 of us were grouped inside this circle and the rest were all standing at our back where they were saying the words that was written inside of the booklet. As we kept on saying these words, there was a great wind that started blowing all of a sudden. The rituals began with simple incantations in the forest, a place where shadows danced beneath ancient trees. Each time I participated in these dark rites, I felt a surge of power coursing through me. I stood there, heart racing, as the leaders chanted words that felt foreign yet strangely familiar. The air crackled with energy, and for a fleeting moment, I sensed the presence of something far greater than myself. With each subsequent ritual, I delved deeper into darkness. I was initiated into a world where power came at a price. A price measured in both tangible offerings and pieces of my soul. Brother, to tell you the truth, I lost my firstborn as a result of me partaking in these rituals. It was a sacrifice that needed to be done so that it will be forever sacrifice where there will be no need to perform anything again. The forest became my sanctuary and my prison. It was there that I learned to harness energies that should never have been touched by human hands. When I returned, I deliberately decided not to do anything which will raise suspicion. And so, it took me for about 2 to 3 months to gradually introduce them to the new me. Honestly, miracles manifested in ways I had never imagined. People flocked back to our church in droves after witnessing unexplainable healings and transformations. But with each miracle came an insatiable hunger for more and more power, more influence, more validation. The darkness crept deeper into my soul. Now the darkness started taking the church members yearly as a sign of sacrifice. With each time I closed my eyes, each incantation echoed with the cries of those who had been sacrificed for my gain. One sad thing that started getting to me was that my congregation looked at me with reverence while I felt increasingly hollow inside. The rituals grew more elaborate and disturbing as I became ensnared in this web of ambition. I sacrificed not only my faith but also the trust of those who believed in me. They looked at me with reverence, unaware of the darkness lurking behind my newfound abilities. Each miracle fed my ego and further distanced me from the man I once was. As time passed, I had gained so much, as you can tell. But however, the weight of my actions became unbearable. The rituals took a toll on my spirit. The faces of those who had suffered because of my choices haunted my dreams. I found myself standing at the precipice of despair, realizing that every miracle came at the cost of another's pain, a truth too painful to confront. Now, as I reflect on this dark journey, I understand why I have avoided speaking about it. Shame grips me like a vice. The fear of judgment prevents me from revealing the depths to which I've sunk. The man who once preached love and faith has become a vessel for darker forces, and the guilt weighs heavily on my conscience. I know now that true power lies not in manipulation or sacrifice but in humility and love for others. My path has led me astray, and while I can no longer undo what has been done, I hope that by sharing this confession, others may be spared from making the same choices. The allure of power is seductive, but it comes with a price that is far too steep. I am still searching for redemption, hoping to reclaim the faith I once held dear and mend the brokenness within myself. It is a long road ahead, but perhaps through honesty and vulnerability, I can begin to heal and find my way back to the light. I send peace to everyone who will chance upon my revelation. Don't be too desperate to find solutions to whatever problem you may find yourself. Thank you.
Don't forget to please subscribe, share and like our videos. Kindly hit the notification bell so you will be the first to get notification to our videos when we upload. Indeed, I will stress on this statement that I always say, which is the fact that, when you are too desperate to make it in life, you will miss the mark, which will make you take certain decisions that will later come be a case to hurt you. Listening to our brother, he had this burning desire in him from the word go, which I will say is good. The desire to lay down his life for his people, but in doing so, he allowed those desires to turn into his own downfall. I tell you that, if you don't learn how to control your desire, it will lead you to do things that on the face value, you might not see anything wrong with it. Until it starts to hurt you yourself and sometimes your whole family. You see, at this point with what we do, I do have to say to you our listeners and subscribers to be very honest and careful with the kind of people you associate with and goes on to offer simple and short road to your problems. Please be very careful when dealing with such a person. Please let us wake up and know that the devil is right beside us and will do anything possible to get the very selected people. Now, a very devoted pastor has fallen. So let us be vigilant and not think that we cannot fall victims. This is why we decided to go all out and do this with you our lovely viewers and subscribers. Let us understand that the devil can use anything and anyone to get to us. It doesn't matter if he or she is a pastor, doctor, teacher or any other person. He can even use your own family members to make you miss your mark. Please let us hear your thoughts in the comment section. Yes, just as we are here to share with ourselves what is going on out there, we do bring these conversations with you our family members to help our innocent brothers and sisters to realize what is happening out there, that they do not have any idea about. So that they can make their own decisions going forward in their day-to-day activities. I just hope that we honestly take the important lessons from these stories to better our lives and decisions. Stay blessed and be safe. Thanks for being a part of this growing family. Kindly share your thought with us in the comment section below. And if you are new here, please subscribe, like and share.